Just to add, meaning stated in another way, why do we allow representatives from the private banking community to control so much of our resources deposited in the central bank? That is the anomalous situation in our constitution, where we declare ourselves as a sovereign nation, because this is anti-sovereign.
Oh, so you get the drift of the discussion here, and what can you say to that?
Actually, I agree with that, and I'll take it a point further. The allocation of resources in a national economy for an underdeveloped economy must be directed by the state for the common welfare. It's in the Constitution.
That is the spirit of our Constitution.
Correct. However, to deputize the private banking system here to undertake that function is wrong.
Well, that's why they say private sector-led growth, private sector economic development. Huh?
I would like to add to that.
Yes, attorney.
Why is it wrong? Because when you have 5 full-time private bankers controlling the Central Monetary Bank, the Central Monetary Board, or the Central Bank, private bankers, private sector, that means they are not public officers. Therefore, there is no public accountability. And yet, we are paying them money.
And that is why they're not under COA.
Yes, and that is why they have no accountability. And that is really anomalous. And yet, this is not even discussed in law school.
So, so this whole discussion that we have is not discussed in the elementary, high school, at the different levels of languages that the students would understand, or even university. You know?
Why? You have to understand that this issue of money management is part of the government's intervention in industrial economies. It is called macroeconomic policy framework. However, in this country, it's impossible to have that framework in place because we are not yet an industrialized economy. Why? That system of macroeconomic, fiscal, and monetary management was created basically to temper the economic business cycle, yung recessions, depressions, etc., etc., etc. It grew out of that crisis in industrial capitalism.
Yeah, but,
you cannot apply that to a underdeveloping economy whose monetary systems, whose capital market development is still in its infancy.
But why are we underdeveloped when Marcos already attempted the 11 industrial projects, aluminum smelter, copper smelter,
Again, don't point to certain policies attempted by the state. Attempted.
But frustrated.
Well, let's put it this way. Unfortunately, the late President Marcos had his economic advisors all from the temple of the free market system.
Like Virata and...
etc. So, they were there.
But you also had Onofre Corpus and so on. Huh?
Let's put it this way, okay? A developing economy like the Philippines, basically, in the face of massive advances in technology, etc., 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 is still trying to find its way in the dark.
Well,
however, you do not have this culture of essentially working for the good of the country.
Let me say this, that we obviously are not groping in the dark. We know what direction we have to go. And we have nationalist economists that have been saying that. Ding Lichauco, and of course, even far way back in the 50s, Central Bank Governor Calderon, do I get the name correctly?
Yes.
It is not that we do not know where to go.
Was his name.
Cuaderno. It is because we continue to be frustrated. And the Marcos industrialization plan is significant because it was there already. It was being started, but then there was an intervention.
Of all, the fatal flaw of that entire policy framework was to be funded from the World Bank.
Yes, but that's another discussion because...
however, the World Bank told him, oh, don't worry, the commercial banks of the United States will fund your industrial development.
And then they cut it.
First of all, commercial banks basically cannot fund
Precisely.
long-term development projects.
Those are the errors that we must recognize. And,
you cannot go to the
must
US
remember.
to borrow in dollars to create a domestic economy in pesos.
How did China fund its development? By internal generation of capital, which we just said earlier.
And how
we
is
have.
capital generated? Basically, through employment.
Well, okay, at this point, I have to summarize and help the audience stay on course. And that is, you cannot discuss an authentic constitution if you do not have sovereignty. And you have no sovereignty if you do not understand how money and wealth operates and who controls it. And the entire discussion in the Senate and in the Congress is completely devoid of this discussion. So this is just a moro-moro, a zarzuela, a comedy that they are proposing, unless they also begin to discuss the fundamentals as we are trying to do. You are nodding your head, and you wanted to add something to this?
Yes, because obviously from the existing financial structure where we have the central bank headed by somebody who was never elected by the people, who was appointed by Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, along with the other 5 and the Purisima, who is also an Arroyo recycled officer.
And SGV. It's
right.
foreign,
so, if you have these unelected people holding the life of the financial, the banking, and the money power of the Filipino people, what do you promotion of public interest? Definitely not. It's the promotion of private interest. And that is why when we were trying to
promotion of private foreign interest.
Yes.
That's even worse.
And when we described 2 pesos to $1 going to 44 pesos to $1 because of this kind of mindsets, then we have to ask ourselves, some group of people are benefiting from the existing status quo. And we also know it is a fact that majority of the masang Pilipino are not benefiting. Therefore, if there is going to be any change, any real change, it must be tested by a reversal of fortunes, so that whatever we decide to do now and later should result in the masang Pilipino getting a better deal, making benefiting more from their resources rather than those who control the central bank.
Okay, we have the last 4 minutes. We've made the point that you must discuss all these. The sovereign aspect of a constitution, the money and economic aspect of the constitution. Do we need a cha-cha at this time, given that the discussion on it does not seem to come to the level necessary to have a genuine change? We have around 4 minutes left.
Well, the premise for changing the constitution from all sectors that I have read or heard on TV is totally wrong. Especially directed at the economic provisions. Unfortunately, there are foreign interests that are pushing this.
So that they can own land here.
It's not only that, essentially, because the banking institution in this country, unfortunately, has loaded up itself with real estate assets.
Precisely. Yeah.
And unfortunately, again, the function of the monetary system...
So the first to benefit from any change in this removal of the protection for
foreign
Filipinos.
bankers.
Foreign bankers are the first to benefit. They're the first to reap the windfall profits from appreciating real estate. And what is the impact on on the Filipino citizen? Since he has no money, that's admittedly on a personal level, not a national level, he will be more and more marginalized from land ownership.
It's not only that aspect. The Filipino in his own country is economically disenfranchised already. You talk about political enfranchisement. You cannot have that unless he is enfranchised so economically.
You can vote.
He has no interest. He is not vested in the economic interest of this country. How do you expect him to have a political interest?
You can have a vote. You can exercise the power to vote 365 days a year, you're still poor. You still do not gain and benefit from your country's wealth because somebody else is taking it away.